Welcome back, everybody, to the game development live stream. This is the live stream where we talk to game developers, creative heads, people who are really working in the industry, making things, building things, creating games that they're bringing new entertainment and joy to people who love playing games, like myself, like you, like pretty much, I think it's about 3 billion people in the world right now play games. So this is the most important media type of our time. And we love to have people from the industry here to learn, to ask questions. So it's your opportunity to ask the team today questions. And I'm really excited because one of the things that I've really gained an appreciation for over, I'll say it's really accelerated over the last decade, is game development has gone from something which has existed really in only certain kinds of regions of the world to now it is an art form. It's a media form that everyone around the world, all the 3 billion people are not only playing games now, many of the 3 billion are making games and they're all over the place. So this is exciting because we've got an awesome team here from Costa Rica, the land of Pura Vida. And I just probably confirm for everyone that I do not speak Spanish. But I did visit Costa Rica once, and I remember the phrase. So we've got a team here from Costa Rica. I'm going to be really curious about what it's like just building a game in Costa Rica. But let's start with the team. Guys, introduce yourself. Let's see. We're starting with, now I'm forgetting who we're going to start with. Paul, are we starting with you? Or did I screw things up already?
First of all, thanks for the opportunity to be here and talk with you guys. I'm really excited and happy of this chance. Well, my name is Paul Fernández. I have been working games from around 10 years by now in different projects in different companies, and now I'm creating RC Games Studio that is our small studio here. Well, in my background, I think I'm working on more than 10 games, 10 different games. And now I'm the project manager of Grumpy Gaffer and the game director for this game. Really nice to meet you guys.
Nice. David?
Hi, I'm the lead programmer of these games, Grumpy Gaffer. I've been working with Paul for around 6 years now, and we're very glad that you are giving us this opportunity in general. So, well, calling myself the lead programmer will be a bit too much because then it is mostly just us three in this project. But yeah, that's where we're standing right now.
Okay. And that leaves you, Jeff.
Hi, I'm Jeff. I'm the lead artist of this project. I have a degree in digital animation, and my background basically is well, I've been with the RC Games for about 12 years. And besides that, I used to be a motion designer for Amazon. So basically, that's my background. Thank you very much for the space.
How did all of you meet and form your team? And it is the three of you, right? We're literally looking at the whole studio right now, or did we miss anybody?
No, there are some missing members here. I'm one of the founders, and the other one is not here. Is not present in this call. But we meet almost all in the university, and we meet Jeff on a global game jam. I think was the very first global game jam that we go for, and we met Jeff from there, and they stay with us since that day.
I love that you met in a game jam. You know, this is one of the biggest questions that I get asked when, like a college student or even much older than a college student, just people who have been either doing art or programming or something that's game industry adjacent. I'm always approached by people who ask me, how do I get into this industry? And, you know, first answer is, well, it's kind of an industry that wants to know what you've done, not just what you think you might be able to do. So having a portfolio of games and things that you've worked on is really key. What is a great way to do that? Go sign up for a game jam, and you'll instantly be put together with another team, and you can contribute your skills, and you'll come away with some kind of portfolio piece. So if you do that a bunch of times, you guys took it to the next level. You not only met at the game jam, you formed a studio. So everything sounds like it really clicked in that first thing. What was the game jam project that you worked on?
Well, actually, we work in two projects in that game, John. They were really fun and hilarious games, similar in the style of Grumpy Gaffer. They just have that kind of Adult Swim style for fun or that kind of stuff. It was a chicken with high heels that was running in a competitive way. There was it was a split screen where you need to defeat the other guy in the screen. But it was not just because you were moving faster than the other ones, because you were doing things that annoying the other guy. For example, turning or changing the controls there. And they now the forward is the backward and not the, and that kind of stuff, or sending surprises that are going to black out the screen or that kind of stuff. Um, and yeah, that was the I think that was the very first game we created. And then we go for three or four more game jams after that one, and we actually create one or do a game jam in our office when we had one before the pandemic. We had an office and we do a game jam inside our office. Then game jams are actually a really important part of our history.
Yeah.
Yeah. On my end, I went out from. I mean, I recently graduated from college, so I was wondering what to do with my career. So I knew about the existence of the game jams, and I just went to one of them, and I met these guys, and I'm still here. Basically, that was my journey.
Awesome. Well, let's talk more about your game, but maybe it's easiest if we just start by looking at the game, and then I'd love to hear you guys talk a little bit about what your vision was for this and where it's going from here at this point in development. Oscar, do we have a video ready to queue up to take a look at what these guys have been working on? Nice. So I'm picking up a tower defense vibe.
Yes.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about the game and the idea you had coming at this.
Well, Grumpy Gaffer Born's in a game jam actually from 2019, I think, if I remember well. The theme of that game jam was what means hum to you. Then we agree that the hum is actually a safe place where we can stay calm, relaxed, away from the stress of life or another kind of annoying stuff. Um, then we think, okay, we have an objective. We need to protect our home, but who are going to protect our home? are going to protect us. And then we remember that gaffers are people that stay a lot of time on house. And when we were a child, I think almost all one meet that elder people that was scary for us in that moment, even when they were really nice people or really really good. And then we say, hey, that's a really funny concept for our defenders. They're the perfect heroes that we need to have in our game. Then we decide an army of grumpy gaffers that are going to protect ourselves. And when we were talking about then where we need to protect against, then we figure out there are a lot of things that are annoying around the world. Um, and then we create a list of them. We personalize with giving characteristics to any of these annoying stuff, and we were forming each of the enemies that we have now in the game. They're from political decisions to just simple silly things that just annoying us, and that was how the game was concepted and formed. And the game is actually a tower defense. It's highly inspired in Plants vs Zombies,
Hmm.
but we want to add it more strategy in the game. We work in trying to create a casual game that is easy to play but hard to master. As I'm really fan of Dark Souls and that kind of hard games, then I decide to add a lot of strategy elements and micromanagement things um, to create an exciting game that you need to think about really well to handle each level.
Yeah, we thought about the game design and the strategy, and after that, actually we thought about what type of background we can put to the characters. So as a kid, I remember this elder guy who was extremely annoyed by us playing football in the street. So to the point that he used to grab the football and stole from us. So that experience was also a part of our inspiration to make a character like this. So we thought about this guy who just wants to play Sudoku, and he keeps receiving annoying neighbors.
So, since we're talking to a game industry audience in this particular live stream, so I think a lot of people want to learn some of the decisions that you made. Now, when we were watching the video, I noticed that it looks like there's some currencies that you can buy in the game. So it looks like you went with a free to play, if I'm getting it right, the free to play business model. What drove that decision for you, and is that a hard thing for a smaller team to take on in the current live services environment? I'm just curious how you think about that.
Yes, exactly. I mean, we were working on games for other guys a lot of time. We were making mostly outsourcing experiences that were great, but we were not able to show this experience that we developed to anyone because the signals and that kind of stuff. And then we decide it's time to develop our very own game, and we want this game like a gift for the people that follow us, the people that are going to play the game. And then we decide we need to go for a free to play game or almost free to play game. In Steam it have just a small cost because Steam's politics of um but it's other stuff. But we want to make a game that is really cheap that anyone can afford or just play by free. Actually, even when we add microtransactions on that game, uh, the idea is that all levels are developed really carefully, that all can be completed free.
Hmm.
Just with the progress of your game, if you just spend time playing our game, you're going to have enough currency to get power ups, plenty of power ups, and you can play the entire game, all the 90 levels of the campaign free. That is because it's our very first project that have the RC Games name in his logo, and it have that. Then even when it's actually a really challenge we decide to go that way because we want to have this for our players.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as Paul was saying, we were going for a model that wasn't predatory at all. I mean, we wanted people to play the game throughout the entire campaign without having to really spend any money on power-ups unless they wanted to, unless they want to support us in general. And there's also a lot of ways that you can earn that same currency, the same currency that you buy with real money. You can get it through playing the game itself. So there's actually a lot of features in there, like a tournament that we run, that we hold every week, and people could keep getting the kind of currency to spend in the games without having to spend any real money, unless they want to really compete and get on the first place, like every week. And so yeah, that's the kind of model that we went for.
So I have more questions about that, but before we do, a lot of people show up to this live stream looking to earn a code, and I'm trying to keep it a little bit random when I introduce this in the process. So we're going to take a moment now to give out the code, and I think your team will like the code that we're giving out today. So the word for today is Gaffer, Gaffer. So if you're in our community, if you're on the leaderboard, you're trying to rise up the leaderboard, that's your code, Gaffer. You got to use /claim in Discord. If you're wondering what the heck we're talking about, and this is your first time hearing about it, sign up for the Beamable Network Discord, get in there, validate your account, and you also join hub.beamable.network, because that's where we run the questing leaderboard for the airdrop campaign, which is going to be coming sooner than you might think. It's coming along. So get in there if you haven't yet. Use /claim Gaffer, Gaffer is the code today, and you'll earn the little bounty from our quest system that allows you to earn some points towards a very, very highly sought after airdrop slot. Okay, so coming back to you guys. So you made a very deliberate decision that you were not going to go for the jugular on monetization. Now, I'll admit, when I built some of the games that I did at Disruptor Beam, so Star Trek Timelines and Game of Thrones Ascent, we were pretty deliberate that we wanted to have, a lot of dollars flowing through the system. It was really just, at the time, it was almost the contrary. It was actually a contrarian play, believe it or not. So at that time, North American games were very hesitant to monetize. And I had a theory, which was that if I adopted what was essentially a Chinese business model and applied it to a Western game, that it would work for us. And it did. Star Trek has ARPDAU over $1, average revenue per daily active user. So it monetizes very highly. But maybe that doesn't always work in today's market. So you're saying you've gone a different way, which is rather than just trying to maximize the ARPDAU, it sounds like you're just trying to maximize retention and engagement of your users. How do you find that your users respond to this approach to monetization, where they may not need to actually spend on currency to get through levels? First of all, do they know that? Or do they just leap to the assumption that you're like most free-to-play games that they've interacted with, where they're going to hit a pinch point and they just have to spend the money if they want to go any further?
Well, I think we developed the levels in the way they can go progressing to the campaign. They are going to learn. We create a tutorial, but the first campaign is actually a tutorial.
Mm-hmm.
That is not a step-by-step tutorial, but it's going to teach how to play the game. And it's actually easy to complete each level while they're learning new concepts about the game. We don't say in any place that the game is actually a free-to-play, or that things. I mean, we want to make the user the progression in a way they can feel they can complete the game without needing to pay anything. It was like the design, not more like saying something that is free or that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we have been getting we have been getting a lot of positive encouragement through the Steam reviews. For example, we're very glad to see the community come together and tell us that they really like the game, the tactics, and the gameplay itself, and also the graphics. And well, we try to implement this. If you notice the vibes of the game, they're really 2010, 2009 kind of style. Those games that came out on that year, on that era, and we wanted to keep that vibe of like a campaign and an arcade-ish kind of game that you had to go through just levels and just enjoying the game as it was, not like games to nowadays that they just want you to spend a lot of time in there, and hopefully get they want you to keep you all of your money just to progress, just like a pay to win kind of model. So we wanted to strive away from that and keep it together like an old kind of game, so people will feel nostalgic and will feel that they will feel great about gaming again, like the old times.
See, you distribute through a couple of very different platforms. You're on Steam, and you also, as I understand it, distribute through Google Play. I think I saw that in the graphic. Do I have that right? I'm just curious what distinctions you see those, because certainly on Steam you get a lot of like hardcore gamers, and I think I can imagine them being that exact kind of player you just described, which is they've seen enough of the free to play. They don't mind it if it exists at kind of low key level, but they want to seek skill-based gaming. They don't want to feel like the free-to-play monetization is an obstacle to actually engaging with the game. Whereas Google Play players, let's face it, like they download these games, and virtually the only games that they end up downloading are the ones that have a pretty highly monetized model, because it's almost the only way to succeed on Google Play, because user acquisition is so expensive, which kind of drives developers. So I think also when people think about like the monetization strategies of mobile, you also have to remember that the combination of the high take rate plus the high cost of user acquisition on these platforms almost defines the monetization strategy that you have to use. But my question really comes down to, what distinctions have you observed between your Google Play users versus Steam, or have you built a community that's cross-platform and you're not seeing distinctions?
Well, indeed, actually, the game is cross-platform. It was one of our intended purposes for this game when we were starting the development. It was have a game that can be played almost in any place. Then we have now Android, we have Steam, and tomorrow I think is going to be released on iOS.
All right, you heard it.
Yeah. Well, there are just a small difference between the players, because we want to have a balance between if you want to be really good playing this game, or if you want just to spend some time when you are on a bus or you are going on a train, or if you like, we are from Latin America, there are a lot of places without internet, and that's all. Then one is that actually it was another challenge that we need to face. We want a game that can be played without internet also. Then if you are really away from the city and you don't have internet or that kind of stuff, you can still play Grumpy Gaffer. That was our purpose in creating this game. And yeah, these are little difference between the players, because of we think we try to balance that between if you want to be a really good player, really hardcore player as you tell, or if you just want to spend some time. And for that reason, we create some mini games inside the game. We also think, I mean, my family is like a lot the Sudokus game, actually. Then we even include that Sudoku for a way to reach that kind of people that just want to play a really Sudoku, just a fan Sudoku. And actually, my mom plays the game a lot, but only the Sudoku.
Interesting.
Then to sort that kind of challenge between the difference between the players, we arranged that creating some mini games Then there are more casual games like the Smashing Storm, that is just a point and click game.
Mhm.
Or we create the Nightmare mode, that is actually when we just move forward the strategy to another level totally. And even when that levels are really complex, you can pass all of them if you just sit down and study the strategy, study the strength and the weakness of all your characters.
Mhm.
And yeah, that was the way we managed that difference between players.
I like to point out that our decision regarding monetization, it is based also on the context. We are we are a small indie game dev studio from Costa Rica. Our main goal was actually to have a game could that could reach a lot of people. So maybe in the future we can think more about more monetization strategies. Like skins or weapons, things like that, right? But we made priority in our in this production to just have a game that could reach as much people we could.
Yeah, and another important thing about the context that game that Jeff tell us is that is this our very first game? We didn't have any game to show to a publisher, for example. And we have a lot of projects in mind. We have updates. We think on updates from Grumpy Gaffer. We have another projects that we are want to create, but we doesn't have anything to show. And as you pointed out at the beginning, this industry is more about what you have done, not what you can do. Then one of the idea of Grumpy Gaffer was create a game that we can show. Hey, we can actually create games from zero to the end in a good quality with good amount of refinement. And if you want to support artists in this new project, then you have something to see about that.
So what kind of so we know you use Beamable for part of it, like monetization. What other technologies were important for this, and why did you choose some of the technologies you did as you built this game?
Well, indeed, we face a really big challenge here. We want to create a game that is almost free. We want to create a game that can be played offline, but we want to create a game that people can interact with others in not really intense way, but just in a small way. And that three things are actually really, really, really challenge. Almost the only way that create a server that can handle that is created by your own. But it means it's going to be a lot of effort, an extra effort creating that things. And then we just start looking for services around, and we saw Beamable, and we get in love with Beamable. It was really cool. It just helped a lot with all that challenge that we face, and also actually give us the chance to create another things that we were not thinking about, like the tournaments that we like a lot when we see that kind of functionality about the Beamable platform. We saw this chance to create a more interactive experience also. Um, a kind of competitive way to play with some of your friends or that kind of stuff. And then that's the main reason why we chose Beamable. We found in Beamable a really good platform that fit all our requirements.
Yeah, thanks for that, Paul.
Yeah,
So it sounds like you tapped into a lot of the ability to provide essentially a social experience for your players, but in a light way without having to build like
yeah, we were trying and we were looking for alternatives. We wanted to expand on our um, sense of the game because it is mostly a single player game.
Mhm.
But we wanted to get some community engagement, and not also that, but also we wanted to handle inventory. We wanted to handle
Mhm.
leaderboards. So we wanted ways for people to participate, to compete, and in a way to modernize the game a little bit. And we also wanted to learn about in-app purchases, for example. And there's all those features where we weren't finding in any other alternatives that we were looking for during development. We weren't really satisfied with them until we found out about Beamable. It was just through browsing casually, and I want to highlight something here about the Beamables team. for example, for people like Trapper or Alistair, they were really, really helpful during the time that I were clearing out my doubts, solving issues, constantly answering my emails. So they were really really great help during this time. And we appreciated things about Beamable, like the indie tier, for example, that you guys offer for us. We are really, really small. We don't really have that much of a budget to invest in this, and so it is allowing us to use a backend service, because, as you said, that this is a phrase that I read on, I don't know where, in an article or a video or somewhere, that you came out with, and it is about that you want people to focus on the creative process and mostly, and not about the infrastructure or the boring stuff, let's say. And I really like that. I think that's the greatest idea that you could come up with, and you really helped us, because we were at the very tail end of our development when we wanted to we needed to add these systems, these services, and we already had the core gameplay down, essentially, but we were lacking all these systems and services that we needed, and we haven't really even scratched the surface, so to speak, when it comes to what Beamable has to offer. And because you guys had a lot of features like multiplayers and matchmaking that I will be really interested in actually do some research and see what they do. And well, it was a great. It is a great way.
Yeah, I mean, I've spoken to so many indie teams, and I think that there's so much engagement that could be added to so many games by adding even the simplest live services components. It doesn't mean you have to even add a in-game economy, which you guys have also done. It can just be as simple as have some social systems in place and some leaderboards and events, and kind of maybe change game logic a little bit so that the events have different incentives within them in terms of how you can perform, and how different characters, for example, have their stats modified. Like, I think just a simple thing like that can add a whole layer of repeatable play and, much more engagement to the game. It can even lead to content creation, because then people play the game and they show things like, here's how you win in the current event, and they're posting videos. So there's a lot of things that can be done along those lines. But I also run into so many indie teams that just make the assumption of, well, then I've got to code a server, and what if that doesn't work right? What if we have too many users and then it doesn't scale? Just now I've added multiple engineering headcount to my team just to worry about these problems. And what I have really made part of my mission to be is, like, these kind of services are no longer the domain of just like a AAA or AA studio with tens of millions of dollars of budget. Right? By the way, those teams should be using this technology too, because even it doesn't matter how big you are, you don't really want to be building, as you put it, the boring stuff yourself, because the boring stuff is actually really hard to do well. And if you do it wrong, bad things happen to your game. But in particular, just giving you the ability to amplify your creativity and allow you to dream bigger and have those kind of systems in place within your game without it being an impediment, and really be able to take advantage of the current market landscape, which is that players kind of expect it and they want it, and they want that social engagement. They want the content to stay current. So really happy to see that, you guys as an indie team with, as you said it yourself, a small budget, have been able to build and incorporate those kind of systems into this. And out of curiosity, beyond Beamable, what are the key technology? This is Unity, I take it?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's Unity.
Yeah. So it's sort of like back in the day, there were people still building their own 3D engine, and then Unity showed the world that you could actually build a 3D graphics game without building a 3D engine yourself. And suddenly it opened up a whole world of possibilities for teams to go and build, bigger games with a bigger vision, because they equip you with that. That's kind of the thinking that we had at Beamable, which is to give you the ability to be in the live services business without having to take on the millions of dollars of development that some of the earlier studios had to engage in for that.
can I ask a question?
Yes, Oscar, we love it when you ask questions. Yesterday, people were
That,
demanding it, so I'm glad you're jumping in.
that's why that's why I don't say anything. I keep them wanting more. But like, if you were imagining the next game that you were going to design, and you had already had availability of a tool like Beamable, would you framework your development process like you would design the game around the technology and the solutions that Beamable as a service could offer, or would you take the concept of the game and then try to hook it into Beamable's like offerings? Like, would you see yourself imagining the next game around the possibilities that Beamable could provide you in the production, and then like that would help to really frame up what you were creating? Or would you start with the idea of the game first and then see where those gaps could be patched in by Beamable?
Well, I think it's. I mean, both options. I mean, depends of the game. We have I think three main ideas about what is going to be our next game. Then there are pretty different ideas.
Mhm.
Then there are one in specific that, yeah, it's think around what options Beamable offers. But there are others that are just a single player game that they are not thinking on Beamable because the nature of the game. But clearly, we are going to have Beamable in mind for each of the next projects we are going to have,
Mhm.
because it was really cool work with you guys. And I mean, I don't have any bad words for you. The support was really great. The options the Beamable platform offers is great also. I like a lot that you can pick only the options you want, not all the package. This is pretty important, because we want to, for example, in Grumpy Gaffer, we just want monetization, we just want the leaderboard, and we just want the tournaments, and we don't want all the old package. We don't need to think in other things.
Mhm.
And actually, that support that give a lot of flexibility for us as a small studio to pick only the things we wanted in that specific project. And I think it was a great service. I don't have anything bad to say
Yeah.
about Beamable. It was
Yeah,
really
we
great.
are aware of capabilities of Beamable, so for sure we can use the services. We'll go for it for sure.
So tell me what's on the roadmap for your studio. So first of all, let's just start with the current game. You said it had a very small budget. I see other projects that you've worked on. You mentioned how you've done development essentially to help other developers. You've done contract development within the studio, if I understood you right. This is the first title that you basically self-funded it, right?
Yeah,
Yes,
You're just doing
totally
it
self.
in the studio within all the spare time that you've got. You're like,
the
let's
spare
go
time.
build this, right? And is it your hope that that gives you the portfolio strength to start pitching games to publishers, to other people who would fund game projects in the future?
Yes, yes, that's actually the plan. We want to create Grumpy Gaffer as a portfolio thing that we can show. We have working on really exciting projects from other companies, and
Mhm.
not only games. We develop a lot of software things. Uh, David, me, and my other partner, we are computer science engineer. Then we have a lot of skills to create almost anything with code. We are creating backends. We have creating websites. We are creating anything. But uh, what we want to create is games. That's the reason of the name is Studio RC Games. But we can show some projects that I have worked before. There are just too few. Then we will not fear. We will not feel enough sure enough to go pitch games from publishers without any game to show and say, hey, here's the game, play it. You can see that we are able, or we are have all the skills to create a game from zero to the end. And yeah, then this is was self-funding project. The idea is that the next projects we are going to have, we are going to create some uh, prototypes that we can show to the
Mhm.
publishers, and we have this background to say, hey, we are able to make that come to life.
Yeah, and this was one of the positive outcomes that we expected from this Beamable network campaign. The things that we are aware and we know that Grumpy Gaffer is a good game. It's a polished game, but had no visibility. We spent some of our budget creating some marketing for social media, but we feel now with this campaign, with the help of Bilbo, that the game is getting to the right people. Okay, so now we're more confident on looking for publishers and about our future in general. Actually,
Yeah, we are very ambitious as a studio. I think we got to limit the scope a lot for this game in particular. We wanted to include, I don't know, there was a moment in time I wanted to make the game even multiplayer. We wanted to add a lot of features that we didn't have time for, because as you said, we were working on our spare time only, and I don't know, we wanted bosses in the game. We want to add maybe in the future. We see the support from people right now, so we may actually add the what we were thinking of, because we were actually about to put it on the shelf, but we wanted to add more worlds, more levels, more characters, maybe skins or cosmetics for the game. And yeah, in particular, we do want to do a lot with it, but we were lacking the funding, we're lacking the time, because we still have to eat, we still have to survive at the end of the day. And and yeah, I hope we hope that with the right audience for the game, we get to a point where we can actually just live our lives out of it, out of making games on our own. So that's the goal, the end goal.
I'm curious about the journeys that different studios have been on. Did you have you gone out in the past and pitched publishers for ideas and tried to get funding for games? Is creating this game a reaction to the feedback you are hearing from them, which is you needed to build up your own kind of studio portfolio? Did you try to fund this particular game? Just tell me a little bit more about like that journey that you've been on to try to create your own titles.
Well, indeed, we even don't try to pitch this game to publishers. We ask help from some game advisors around the world. We have good reviews from them. They like the game. They give really important feedback for us to improve our game. But we will not think on go to the publishers. We think to pay for a marketing campaign with a specialized studio, but for our not for our lack of experience in that kind of in that part of the development, we try to look for just when we were almost ready to launch the game, then all the studios just deny our solicitation because they were full of the job. Um, then we made a lot of mistakes during this last phase of development. But I think it was a really good, important learning experience for us, because this part of the publishing, it was something that we didn't know at all. As we are creating games for other guys, the other guys will be in charge for that part, and we will not know anything about that. Um, we were really good in the development, but we were not good in the publishing.
The marketing itself.
In the marketing and that kind of stuff. Then we do a lot of mistakes in that part. But yes, in this project we were not. We even ask or search for a publisher because we don't have anything to show. It's not good to say, hey, I develop games from that studio, but our names are not even there.
Yeah, of course.
Then the idea is, okay, now that we have a game, we are going to feel more confident, and we also learn from our mistakes. for the future project, we are going to start looking for marketing or publishers a lot of earlier time in the development phase.
So, for anybody who's tuning in at the moment, by the way, we love to hear questions from the audience. So, we've got over 800 of you tuning in live right now. So, if you want to understand the world of indie game development, this is a team to ask, because they're doing it in Costa Rica with their own team. They're self-funding it. Like, they're doing hard mode game development. So please do ask questions about this. Now, I should say 80% of the panel today is in Costa Rica. So the game development team here, RC Games, they're in Costa Rica. Oscar is from Costa Rica too. So my question is actually for all of you. What is the Costa Rican game development scene? What does that look like? Are there a lot of game developers in Costa Rica? And for people that are builders like you are, what are the avenues in Costa Rica for getting a game published? So let's say you realize all your dreams here and this is now the portfolio piece. Are there obvious publishers to go talk to where you can take them the next set of ideas? So that was kind of a bunch of questions at once, but it comes down to, what is life as a game developer in Costa Rica?
Well, the game developer in Costa Rica industry just grow a lot in these past years. When we started, we were like 4 studios. One, a big one that is called Fair Play Labs. It's a kind of medium if you compare with an international studios, right? But it's the biggest one from Costa Rica, and it was the first one. They developed some really good games, like the Nickelodeon actual game, but it's like a Smash game. This is really well. Actually, I mean, the game industry here in Costa Rica is really friendly. Our companies, we know each other. I have been working with them in some occasions, helping with other projects or their own projects in some other stuff. I think it's a really good and healthy environment for game development here in Costa Rica.
I'm hearing that it's pretty tightly knit, that you know each other.
Yeah,
indeed.
we almost know all our companies. There are a lot of events around here, like an Expo Beat or Connector Day and the Gamecom and that kind of events that they invite the developer company, the developer community. Then we meet each other in this kind of events, and we have the chance to test their games or provide feedback for our teams and that kind of stuff. And this is pretty good. I like that a lot, indeed. And the game quality is evolving really good. In the first games we were developing, we saw that was an early industry that was just growing up. But now the games that we look on that events are really nice and really fun to play, and they are really polished, and feels that the game quality is actually evolving. One thing that I like a lot is that almost all the studios have really unique and original ideas. I think the creativity here is really high. Then the life here as game developer is pretty good. I think is you have enough companies to look for if you want to start creating games, if you're a game artist or if you're a developer, and they are really good people. They are not that kind of hey, no, I don't share my knowledge to you because you are from another company or you are another developer. And I think that is pretty good here in Costa Rica.
Yeah, we support each other a lot. We have Discord channels, and at least once a month, they organize get together to talk about what's going on nowadays, to share projects and stuff like that. So that is something actually that made me incline more into getting to the video game industry. I mean, the environment that we share here is very healthy.
What's the future look like to you guys? Actually, let me start even with the present. Like, in the last year, there've been a lot of layoffs at like a lot of AAA studios. has that trickled down to where you guys fit in the industry? Has it been harder to get work over the last year? And what do you think the future looks like? And I got to shut my window because someone's running equipment.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yes, indeed, the game industry is hard. Publishing game is hard. In Steam, every single day it's going to publish a lot of games, totally different games, and there is a lot of options. Then it's hard to get your game to your target players because there are a lot of things around. And most of the people actually play games that has been released some years ago, not the really actual games. They're only just like some AAA games that have a lot of money for publicity and campaigns, that marketing things that are playing in the same day they just release. But I think that is not actually it's a problem, but it's not a thing that can be not or just say that it's not going to be able to pass that limitation. It's good to have that amount of options, and that give you a lot of inspirations to create your own projects.
Yeah, there's a lot of new games all the time, but all the old games don't go away. So it gets more and more competitive all the time. So games have to be great. That's what it comes down to. What does the future look like though? Like everything from the fact of this more and more games coming along. Then there's platforms like us that are making it easier to build bigger games. And then there's AI that's doing its thing, whether it's art or code. Like when you look at all these forces, what do you think the future looks like as a game developer, either worldwide or just where you are in your communities?
Well, I think AI is having a considerable thing that are going to affect any single branch of technology in these days. I think we're going to see a lot of games that are going to use AI for support as developers, or creating art, creating cutscenes, creating animations. I think AI is going to have a really important um,
Role.
role in game industry.
And David and Jeff, like in your specific domains in art and programming, first of all, I'll just ask: do you use AI as part of your own creative pipelines or coding pipelines? And how does it impact you?
I've used it. Yeah, sorry, you have to go ahead.
Yeah, regarding art, I've never used AI, and I'm never gonna use that in my life. I mean, there are tools, for instance, in Adobe that I mean is using a IA, right? But I think that the artistic environment is trying to embrace a bit of that. But no, everything that I do is with my pure hand and my mind.
Yeah, in my case, I think that there's a lot of it that AI can do for you. That they can provide a lot of new avenues for you to explore and ideas. And but at the end of the day, the design itself comes from you, and that's the ideas and the concepts that you want to convey should come from you, from your own imagination. And AI should at least for the time being just be a tool for you for um, to add some capabilities for to explore. And I've used it mostly for support. I mean, not for programming itself. I mean, we're not at that point yet, and at least for me, I'm not that comfortable yet. But I know how capable it is, and I know how strong of a tool it can be, especially when it comes to art. Maybe it can accelerate a lot of our processes, and for example, creating backgrounds or stuff that are maybe not that particularly important to be spending time on, or in general services after overall. So yeah, we think we are at a stage where we can really say what's going to happen, because there's effects on the whole world as a society. It's going to be affected by this in any way. But we are hopefully restraining ourselves, so we have the design and the final decision on what the game is going to be, instead of relying on AI on itself.
All right. Well, let's get off AI, even though we need to bring it up at most of our conversations for one reason or another.
Every single conversation, AI.
What I want to go back to, though, is source of inspiration. So we've got a bunch of you here. So what are the games that you played that inspired you to want to become a game developer? It doesn't even have to be like your favorite game, but which one inspired you and be like, I want to make something like that. That is the art form that I want to do. And I'm putting you on the spot, so think fast. But Paul, can we start with you, and then we'll go through the.
Of course, I have the question in front of my mind all the time. Warcraft. I spent a lot of time creating Warcraft in the War Map Edition. Warcraft was one of my favorite games, and I don't know how many hours I just create custom maps and campaigns in Warcraft.
So you kind of started as a game developer, but making custom maps. Like, I think that's a completely valid way. Like, people think about the world of modding, but that's kind of the gateway drug into becoming a game developer too, because you start shaping a game experience and learning a lot about how to keep it fun just through things like map design.
Yeah.
Yeah, in my case, it was, I've been a multiplayer gamer for a long time, but I'm actually not getting a lot of inspiration from it. I'm just spending my time there. But if I had to be honest, it is still something that I may want to do in the future, especially because I've been involved in the scene. I know a lot of there's a lot of knowledge that I can grasp from it, and hopefully I can put it into whatever I want to develop. Unfortunately, it is very hard for a small studio like us to do that. We're really small. But if I was to do that, I would like a multiplayer game. On the other side, I really like games. Recently, I played a puzzle game called Baba is EU. I don't know. It is the perfect way to describe like what I like in a game. It is very simple, but it has outstanding but simple mechanics that make you break your brain in a way for you to solve the puzzle in the end. And but it's very innovative and at the same time. So that's the kind of game that I would like to use as an inspiration in the future.
Mm-hmm.
In my case, I grew up with Sega Genesis.
Okay.
So I have a lot of inspiration of Sega Genesis, Sonic 2, Robocop versus Terminator, those games. I remember as a child playing that. I also had a NES when I was 6 year old, so I started really young playing games. But besides that, I like to bring to the game, my game journey, the TV shows that I grew up with. So I feel like I'm blending those worlds in my case as an artist.
All right. So we're coming up on the end of our hour here. I want to close with you guys and how we can help you the most. So we've got a community here. We've got almost 1,000 people in the live audience, and probably a bunch of people are going to watch this video after the fact, particularly people who are just curious about indie game development. But how can we help you? So we can go to rcgamestudio.com, right? And we can head over to Steam or download the game. What else can we do?
I think that the main social media output that we have is it's Instagram.
Instagram.
And,
Interesting.
yeah, and we are actually receiving a lot of compliments in the Steam reviews, and those are making me the happiest. At least for me personally, I hope those keep coming, because we want the game to be there for a broader audience also. And if you can leave a comment there, it will be really helpful. And in general, just follow us on Instagram, and we are actually working on updating our website. So let's just wait for a little bit until it comes out. But you can also go there, and if you want any of our services, or you're interested in using us for any project that you have, that we are available then.
Yeah, we actually have a Discord server. So if you want to join and start conversations there, sharing how they're doing with the game, we're gonna share the leaderboards there. So we can have an RC Games and Grumpy Gaffer community there. So if you really are grumpy, you can be grumpier, on our Discord server. So just go ahead.
Nice. Okay. Well, there's the Instagram scrolling along the bottom. I see that Oscar tracked it down there and threw it in. Oscar is like the strong nuclear force just holding this live stream together. It would just fling off into the universe and its component parts if we didn't have Oscar making sure that this stuff came together and the right camera was running at all times. So you heard it, guys. Go to rcgamestudio.com, download the game, go to the Instagram, which you see scrolling there. Not sure if the Instagram is linked from your website. Hopefully it is. They can find it there. Join the Discord. Those little codes are a little bit of a mouthful on a video stream, but find your way into it, join up, but play the game. Play the game and then participate. So, guys, thank you so much. There's nothing more valuable to a game developer than your time, because it takes so much time to build a game, and you decided to come spend it with me and talk about your game development journey, your game, life in Costa Rica as a game developer, all of that stuff. So thanks for taking the last hour, all three of you here, and doing that. I'm really grateful for it. And I know that our audience is really inspired by your story, and they're going to do it by going and playing your game. So you heard it, guys. Go download it. Thanks, guys.
Thanks a
Thank
lot.
you.
Bye-bye.
All right. Until next time, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Take care.